You hear that? That's silence. Silence is deafening, isn't it? Completely deafening. When it goes completely quiet, it's deafening. I turned James W. Cross around facing me because it's time he listened to me and what I got to say. He's always been a listener for me, and it was really awesome. I dedicate this to Jim, and I'm going to tell you why as I go through this. I'm going to take you on a journey. I'm going to take you on the longest journey, 14 months of my life that I've ever had. The reason I'm doing that is because I survived. And now I live. Right? I want you all to understand. This is going to be uncut. I'm going to drop the F-bomb. I got somebody back there going to walk up here and let me know when I'm at the time of where I want to be at. I want the Facebook people, we're now live. If you don't like the word fuck, shut it off. I am finally me. Well, who are you, Bill? Who's that guy that you never thought you would ever become? And what would it have taken for William, Paul, Andrew, Sanford to become who he really is? What would it take? Well, Jim, you know what it took. Because he was there during a time where I felt and I believe that being a narcissist was not a bad thing. Did I just call myself a narcissist? I did, didn't I? Because I was. Anybody at this point, go ahead, look it up. I encourage you right now to grab your phone and look up narcissist. I dare you. Because I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about me being the narcissist and actually living what that really means. I've been called a lot of things. Today. I've been called a lot of things my whole life. What's the truth? I'm going to talk about what led up to my PTSD as a result of trauma, and I'm going to keep that really short because I've got 13 reasons why I have to complete this tonight. So grab that paper that you got in front of you and turn to that page 13. There's 13 things that I'm going to talk about, and you have the opportunity now to get a visual experience. If you want to go grab one, you can, right? So that you guys can follow along and you guys can decide what I'm talking about. This 13-section program is what's going to start taking place April 1st, right here in this building, right here in front of God and everybody. It's a go. It is an absolute go, and it's all set up, and Stephanie Foley graciously offered me this space to be able to do that. Isn't that cool, folks? Give a round of applause for Stephanie Foley back there. And also her staff that works so hard to be able to help us out, to be able to do the things we need to do. I really appreciate them. From the bottom of my stone heart. No, really. I am a... Hold on a sec. I've been called once or twice. Somebody want to zoom in on that? Really? Why am I wearing this shirt? before my trauma, before my accident, February the 9th of 2019, I was self-professed and feeling good about being that. Yeah, an asshole. I said it aloud. Oh my God, uncut, right? Jim, you called me an asshole many times. I think he's still up there calling me an asshole. Because that's Jim Cross. I'm dedicating this. I'm going to skip ahead just a hair. I'm dedicating this to James W. Cross because at the time of my accident, he was pivotal in who I was. He understood who I was. He understood the pain around what I'd become. And the reason I did it was to survive. Right? That's why we do things. Not to live always, but to survive. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm tired of surviving. With PTSD and trauma, we spend our whole life making sure that nobody gets to know us. Does anybody really know me? Well, there's a few that are starting to get to know me. I've known you a lot of years, right? I've known you your whole lives, not physically with my kids. I'd like to welcome, because I know she's watching, Kim. She couldn't be here tonight because she's many miles away, but my other daughter is going to be watching this for sure. She watches all the live thing, and I've got one thing to say to you. God, I wish you were here. And I sure love you. Now, anybody who really knows me as this, including, I'm quite certain, she has called me this more than once, right? Because I was self-professed asshole. That's not a bad thing to be, right? At least I had identity, right? But nobody knew me. Karen, you know me a long time. Was I not? That was just too easy, wasn't it? I was. I was an asshole to my kids. I'll be the first one to admit to that. We were talking about Christmas earlier when Tyler and Twyla got together for the first time and talked, and I was there, and I was an asshole. Nobody's going to deny that. They're shaking their head like this, right? I was an asshole. Why was I an asshole? Why? Okay. So I'm going to go back to just before February 9th of 2019, and I'm going to tell you just a little story about what was taking place in my life and why this accident was so pivotal in the changes and the passion when it comes to PTSD and trauma. I had already taken cognitive behavioral therapy training and became a practitioner. I had no choice for the first time because I was in a place where I had to take it or I was going to remain there for the rest of my life. Those of you who know the story, it's a fact. Because I'm getting more and more transparent in my world, thanks a lot, that that's taking place, I can talk about this situation without worrying about who knows. Anybody who knew me knew that nobody really knew the truth. When I met my daughter after many years, she didn't know who I was, really. I'm becoming me now. I've never had that opportunity to become me before, and I'm so grateful that my daughter and my son and my other daughter are watching this because they get to hear who I am. Bill, you get up on stage and you tell them, isn't that difficult to go and talk about? Hell no. The easiest thing for me to do is tell my story. And if I'm being honest, and I don't have to, trust me folks, I don't have to build this up. I don't have to add to it. It's love, right? I don't have to take away from it because if I did, it wouldn't do you any good. It's an absolute fact that that's the way it is. Now you might know that my attire is a little bit different than it was before. Now, was that me that was here before? Or is this what everybody has known to come to love? The real me. I dressed like that before on purpose. I absolutely did. Thanks, Lisa, for picking out this shirt. I wear rings. I ride a motorcycle, even a Harley Davidson, which I said I would never do. Things are different. Now, just before February 9th last year, I was having great difficulties in my relationship. And the reason I was is not for the reason what anybody thinks. The reason is because I was changing. I was asking something much greater than me, take away some of this stuff that's killing me, my relationships, my family, my girlfriend at the time. Take it away. And he did. Okay. I talk about this lots. I am not a religious man, but I'm warning everybody. Careful with bold prayers. Because if you have a bold prayer and it gets answered, it'll scare the hell out of you. And if you don't want to change, don't use them. The story I got is very simple. I had literally prayed and had many people pray for me, including my daughter, about who I was and how I not only not wanted to be that person anymore, but I wanted to become a new me. I kind of screwed a few things up in my life. I don't know, 3 marriages, my kids, each one of them from a different place. I was a truck driver, folks. That's what I did, as I went to different places. I was going through changes. My kids will tell you I was going through changes, but I had no effing idea what was going to happen in the next 13 months. I had no idea that I was going to become me. And I actually liked myself, because I hated my friggin' guts. Anybody that thinks they hated me worse than I did, they're so wrong. They are. There's nobody that hated my guts as much as I did. I don't tell that story very often. It's not very flattering. Oh, you want to go on a date? I hate my guts. Yeah, that doesn't go very well, right? It's a great pickup line. Absolutely, eh? Oh, by the way, I just thought I'd tell you, you're out there, shaking your ass and having a good time, and just thought I'd let you know I've been married 3 times and they all fucking hate me. You want to go on a date? I told you it was going to be raw and uncut. I'm not kidding. That's the way it was. I was not a nice man. And the reason I wasn't a nice man is because cognitively, the thinking and the way I grew up did not dictate that behavior. I was grown up to be tough. I was grown up to be an alcoholic. Yeah, I was grown up for that. It didn't go very well because I really didn't like the taste of alcohol when I was a kid. Yet I was accused of being a raging alcoholic. Really? Piss poor alcoholic. Hey, Karen. Yeah. I brought a beer up here. Mostly because I'm thirsty. But I brought one up to prove a point. What do you think that point is? No, you can't have any. Jim can't drink with me. I didn't want to drink with Jim anyway. It was not fun to drink with Jim. Anyhow, Jim, I hope you're proud of me. As proud of me as I am. The dedication, June 21st, 1958 to February the 12th, 2019. My accident was February the 9th of 2019. I had just got back together with my then girlfriend, fiance, on off, happening, not happening, drove everybody completely friggin' nuts because I was all over the map. Now, whenever I ended up in trouble with my girlfriend, I would go to Jim's place, Jim and Barb's, and Billy Joe, and I would bitch it out, man. And my line was, and I used it earlier, the worst thing you can do to me is get me in a position where I don't know. Right? I never knew why. I never knew why the person I was with acted the way they did towards me, because after all, look at me. Really? Like, really, why would you want to get along with me? And I treat you so damn well. And that was my thinking. It was. So, we had split up. We had got back together. We had split up. We got back together. And in January, she came out and spent 23 days in the truck. And we started to get along again. So I'm like, oh my God, thank God, because it was all messed up. Everybody knew it was messed up because I'm a vocal kind of guy. So when it's messed up, it's messed up. I'm not afraid to tell anybody. So Jim, before I left on this trip, after I returned 23 days later, I went to Houston, Texas on a run in the truck. I drove semi. Everybody knows I drove semi. It's something I'm not proud of anymore. I was good at what I did, but I was away on purpose. I made a lot of money doing it, but I was gone on purpose. I used to say this all the time. When I left town, my problems were in the rearview mirror, and that's where they stayed. That's the reason why I had problems in my relationships. Because I knew that all I had to do was stick that thing in gear, out of the town I went, and the problems are in the rear mirror, and screw anybody that tried to get a hold of me and have problems. I wasn't interested. I had my own world. Now you say, okay, you're out there for 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, for as many days as you are. How the hell do you get along with yourself? That's gotta be tough. Well, it isn't when you love yourself as much as I do, right? And I hate to disappoint people, but I do. And I always have, in a special kind of way, love myself. Because I was an individual. Something that carried me, agree with me? I always had that special love. Okay, the name of this tour that started today is GYSO Tour. Anybody know what it stands for?
Get your sexy on!
That's Karen, and that's right. And the reason I named it that, although there was many people that say, well, that's sexist. Really? I don't care. I call it the Get Your Sexy On Tour for a reason. I never felt like I was sexy, ever. It took an accident that just about took my life to make me realize it's not about everybody else. Oh, it's so about me. And you know what? It's really so about me now. I'm single for the first time in my life, in my adult life. I'm single. Not loving it yet. Kind of uncomfortable. It's a little bit different. Quit laughing at me. James Cross is just sitting there just laughing at me. And, you know, we used to sit at his table, and he used to just say to me along this, I used to work with him, and he'd say to me along the lines is, well, if you weren't such a fucking asshole, everybody'd be fine with you. I'm like, that's called the Ghetto Black. But that was Jim. It was a fact. You guys are laughing far too much. But self-professed, you know what I'd say, Jim? When you said that to me, go fuck yourself. I didn't care, right? But we had an understanding, him and I, and that understanding was we loved to hate each other. You know, Billy Joel, you're watching this right now, and I smile when I think of it. Sitting at that table, Barb, if you're watching, sitting at that table, he had his own chair. Son of a bitch, had his own chair. He sat in that chair all the time, and he didn't move in that chair, and you didn't sit in that chair. Well, I'll tell you, I've sat in it since. So really, honestly, the man meant everything to me that day when we were talking about that. So I left on this trip. I'd go to Texas. I made a decision that I was leaving the company I was with, and I was going to work for another company because I deserved better. I think I talked to you, Twyla, about the fact that I deserved better and I wasn't being treated the way that I was supposed to. Off to Texas. A good friend of mine, he'll be watching this right now if he's not driving truck right now. Connor, miss you, buddy. He's a huge fan of who I am. And one of these days I'm going to let him tell you, well, I actually be in Dallas. He's planning on being there on the tour. And Connor definitely would come up on stage. I met him in Florida, and we went out on the Everglades, and we looked at crocodiles, and I just about got killed by a crocodile, which was all cool at that point. I'd never been on the Everglades before. He had lost his house, his fiance, everything with the hurricane. He was living in his car. Hope you mind me telling this story. He's actually working now, right? He's actually driving a fucking truck again. Connor, what are you thinking? Right? But he'll be watching this, and I know he will. And I'm speaking there this summer. The month of July is all about this tour so far. This month is all about setting up for the clinic, right? April 1st, that's when it kicks off. That's what you got sitting in front of you. You'll be able to look at that throughout my story tonight, and you'll be able to tell where I was at. Some of you that are in here saw me go through it. I went from being cocksure about absolutely everything. I argued every friggin' point to make it my own, right? I was the guy who was right. I was the go-to guy, and you didn't disagree with me. Well, except for you. He disagreed with me all the time. We fought like cats and dogs. My daughter disagreed with me. My son disagreed with me. My girl disagreed with me. It didn't matter at that time. So, I go to Texas. I come back. I stopped and went to see Connor. He wasn't there. He was busy. Like everybody else, they got a life. I just show up in town. I expect everybody to come see me. Because after all, I was important. He didn't show up. I was pissed. I was kidding, Connor. But it's true. I used to believe that I was that important. In fact, I struggle with it now. Just lately, I've been struggling with it. If you don't return my call, you don't return my text, assholes, I'm that important. Right? I'm just that important. That's about recovery, which I'm going to get to. What part of that is sheet? You go down through that list, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about, what has to change. Right? So, I come back from that. I'm going back to the company I was working for, and I'm saying, take this job and shut it. I finally got up, enough guts to say that. There's a gal that's listening to this who was working at the company at the time. She'll be listening to this in Winnipeg right now. And she knows I was treated like shit. I would show up in Edmonton to see my daughter. I couldn't even keep my eyes open. I was so tired. And all I talked about was trucking. Because I was out there. Back then, before ELDs, I worked around the clock. The more I worked, the better I felt. So I thought. So I was going back to quit the job. So we got a security gate, and I pull in. This is the 5th of February. I pull in the yard. I'm going to empty my truck out. I'm going home, and I'm starting the job. I'm not going to use the names at this point, because it just pisses me off. But I'm going to work for another company. Now, pull in the yard, and I am getting my... So I'm dealing with this son of a bitch. I'm tired of him, right? And when I used to get angry, back before I had my accident, it was not a good scene. Anybody who really seen me that way will tell you, right? I was done. This son of a bitch had treated me like crap for so long, and I wanted something better in my life, and I've been praying to something much greater than me for everything to change, and I finally got the opportunity to go somewhere that was going to treat me with respect, because that's what I knew. That's what I wanted now, is respect. And I get there, and that son of a bitch came out of the office, didn't even get backed into the hole I was put in the trailer, and he was on my doorstep, and he looked at me and he said, I need a favor. I need a favor after I'd been texting with him for days about the problems that were going on, and that if he didn't get his shit together, I was leaving. I need a favor. Well, I was pretty good at that, right? Giving favors, giving people second chances, third chances, 5 chances, 10 chances. I gave everybody chances because I had such a low self-esteem and a self-worth that if I could do something for somebody else to help them out, so fuck it, I'll go make this trip. He comes out, he stands beside my truck, and he says, I need a favor. I'm like, you want a fucking favor from me? That was my exact words. He said, yeah, I know you're pissed, but I've got nobody else to do this, and I can know that you can do it in the amount of time I need it done, and you don't have to run your ELDs, shut it off, I'll cover it. You go down there, the load's coming straight back to Bassinet. All right? So, I'm thinking about getting out of the truck and punching him in the throat. That's what I'm thinking. What came out of my mouth was this. Fuck it, if it's coming back to Medicine Hat, I said, I'll haul the load, and when I get back to Medicine Hat, you can come to your fucking truck. I'm not even bringing it back here. He said, deal. Shook my hand. Little did I know what was going to happen. So, I'm pissed at this guy. Settle down now. Settle down. Get rowdy out there. But I was pissed. And I was angry. And when I'm angry at this time, I drive truck. And I mean, I kick ass, and I take names, and they just sign me out of the computer. What do you think I'm going to do? Right? Tyler, how many hours am I going to work then? Right? You signed me off. I was a super trucker. I hate that name. But I was a super trucker, and I was going to run as hard as I could. And I wanted to be done. So I knew the faster I got down there, and the faster I got home, I could leave. In your face, asshole. When I get home, you come get your own damn truck, right? So, off I go. It friggin' snowed and blowed all the way friggin' down. And from Winnipeg to Barrie, Ontario, where my family lives, right, it normally takes from that time 21 hours. So I got there the next day, right? Because I want to be done this. I go, I offload the load. For the first time in months, he was right. There was a load coming back to Medicine Hat, and it didn't have to be there for an extra day. So, this was the 8th of February. All right? The snowstorm is over. I stopped. My brother works at a transport training company. I stopped and I talked to his class about safety and the reality of being out there driving a truck. Right? I'm a good guy, right? I'll do that because I get paid. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to driving a truck. So, do we know what's going to happen tomorrow? Do we? I'm going to share with you why you don't, and why I didn't, and why everything could change. I got up the next morning on the 9th of February in Cochrane, Ontario. The snow was over, the sun was shining, the road was complete shit. Now, anybody knows anything about going to Ontario, they're 2 hours ahead at that time of year, and the transition is really difficult because they're 2 hours ahead. So I'm up at 5 a.m., tired. I drove in a snowstorm all the way to Cochrane the night before, right? I'm tired, but I'm going home because I'm changing the job. I'm stuffing that truck right up his Rudy Poo candy ass, and I was done. And that's all I could think about. I had no other thing in my mind. I get a phone call. Jim had COPD. He struggled and he fought with it. He developed COPD because of the work he did with me at the same time with the same company. The company blew him off. I'd never work for him again. They're not there any longer. They've become another company. It's really freaking sad the way people are treated. Silica sand can destroy your lungs. That's what happened to James Cross. COPD. I get a phone call at 5:30 in the morning from Billy Joe. And Billy Joe says, he's crashed, he's out, he's on the floor, we're taking him to the hospital, it doesn't look good. Now this is 5:30 in the morning, Alberta time. 7:30, there. I'm thinking, I hope, really hope he makes it till I get home. He's my best buddy. I'm hoping. So, I get going, I get driving, I get the phone call, and I'm thinking about this. And I come over a little mall, and I'm driving down, and the road is closed. They've got a wrecker, a rotator, you ever seen Rescue 401? A rotator right across the road. I seen it, right? 2 trucks are ahead of me, stopped with the 4-ways on. I pulled up between them. Now listen, I just found out that my buddy is probably not going to make it, and I'm sitting on a fucking road in Northern Ontario waiting for traffic. I want to get back to Winnipeg, drop the load off, quit my job, get home, see my buddy. You ever just sat there and thought to yourself, something's not feeling right today? Yeah, I had that one of those fucking moments right about then when I saw that traffic and I kept looking in my mirror because I was the last truck in the line. Right. So, me, jump out of the seat, pull the brake, jump in the back, grab myself a soft drink, get back in, put my seatbelt back on, and I'm looking in the mirror. And I'm thinking about Jim. Thinking about the fact it's icy as hell. We had a snowstorm the day before. Beautiful sunny day. Anybody who's seen the pictures? It was a nice day. And I'm watching this happen. I'm watching it get closer, and I'm watching it not slowing down in my mirror. I'm watching it get closer and bigger, and all of a sudden I went, that cocksucker's not stopping. And that was my exact words, right? And we get people in front of me with the 4-ways on, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching them get bigger in the mirror, and the only thought that came to my mind is, don't let me fucking die in Northern Ontario. Anywhere but Northern Ontario. And I watched him, everything slowed down. I want to paint this picture really clear to you because it has everything to do with what I'm talking about. Everything slowed down completely, and when he hit me, I watched each panel of the trailer come forward that fast. I could literally see it happening. Nothing going through my mind at that time except for, this is gonna fucking hurt. That's what through my mind, and I'm probably done. Okay. Everybody realize how fast an accident like that happens when he's driving 80 kilometers an hour? Right fucking now, right? This took forever. And I watched that trailer come together. I'm watching in the mirror, and I'm thinking, I'm not going home. I really believed I wasn't going home. And then it was like, stop that impact. And I'll tell you what, Mr. Man, I've felt a lot of things in my life. I've been curb stomped. I was hit by an aluminum baseball bat. I lost my teeth at 22 years old. I was in bar fights. I've been ass kicked. I've done the ass kicking. I've done all that, and nothing prepared me for that impact. There will be nothing I ever forget. Right? So, I'm realizing at this point I'm pretty badly hurt. I knew that in my mind, that I was in that much pain that I couldn't move anymore. The police were already on scene. The medics were already on scene. Everybody was all there. The policeman comes up, jumps up and says, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm okay, but that motherfucker, he's going down." The anger iceberg. Recognize it? Okay? Look at it. What feelings was I feeling at that time when I knew that this guy had hit me? And that wasn't the thing that really pissed me off. The thing that pissed me off is he backed off of me and tried leaving and gave me a fucking thumbs up. He's still never seen the road was closed. Then the Anger iceberg hit. And the police I get out and I go take pictures of the ones I've got in the trailer, the truck. You know, you guys will probably all see it, right? And I'm heading for his fucking truck. He pulled around me. The cop was like this in his window, and I'm next. I'm going to see him. And it was not going to be good. Now, that's the Anger iceberg that I didn't even know about. I didn't even realize that I had a problem with trauma at this point, right? Definitely not PTSD. I thought PTSD was for fags. I thought it was for weak people. I thought it was for people that didn't, like, and not bad backs as well. People heard me say that. I literally said, people that talk about PTSD, they're all a bunch of pussies. I said that. Okay, I'll get to that after. But if you look at those steps that I'm talking about, where was I? It was right at the very beginning. First thing that happens is something snaps here. Trigger, right? Something happened that was beyond my conception of what happened. Now, picture this. This was actually humorous when I thought about it afterwards. You got two, well, we'll go back a little bit. The cop stands on my running board, says, "You are staying in your truck," because they told me I had to go back. I said, "No, I'm going to take pictures of his truck." "Oh, no, you're not. We've seen this picture before." Because Northern Ontario, in the wintertime, is like Russian roulette. You're either going to make it or you're not, right? It literally is that bad for trucks. I'm not going to pick on the color, the creed, the make, the model. It didn't friggin' matter. It could have been me hitting somebody else. The reality is, somebody wasn't paying attention. Let's go back to the day. Let's go ahead to the day. Quickly, he got charged with following too close. Too close. I was stopped. He was following too close. Now, if that had been me, I'd still be in jail. Fact. Typically, what happens in a case like that is you go into shock. I was in shock, but I was pissed. My adrenaline was pumping faster than I've ever felt in my life, and I was going to kill him. And anybody who knows about my past life, it's that. Killing him was not a big deal at that time. I was that pissed about the fact, not that he hit me. Christ, I could have hit anybody. I had accidents where people, made mistakes, but this guy tried to leave. I was in shock. Anger. That, if you look at that list on the other side with that iceberg, I had it all going on. This guy was going down, and he was going down hard. So, they, in their infinite wisdom, we've seen this before, sit an officer in my passenger seat and take my statement. I got it home. And I wrote it. I got my boss on my headset. I got the cop sitting here. I'm in shock, and I am going to kill this guy. And I'm telling my boss on the phone with the policeman sitting right next to me that I'm getting out of this vehicle. I'm going to yank him off his truck. I'm going to kick his ass. And my boss said to me, to probably the most intelligent thing he ever said, "Would you just fucking go to the hospital?" I'm like, "No. I want you to get me a new fucking trailer, and I'm going to bobtail to the next town," which is Kapuskasing at the time, and then, "Oh, wait a minute, before I go there, that little brown cocksucker is dead before I get there." And the cop sitting beside me, he said, "Bill, shut up!" Right? So I am in shock. I am angry, not a good combination for anybody, and this guy really pissed me off. I want to go and do what I want to do best. All of a sudden, my boss says to me, "You had a near miss 2 weeks ago." And I did. Some jackass in a jacked up 4x4 with the LED lights across the top, blinding me out on the ring road in Saskatoon, and I took out a friggin' sign. Couldn't find him. He had those LED lights, and I was really pissed off he wouldn't stop. That was 2 weeks previous. Kind of a warning shot, right? So, Normally, typically, what happens in a situation like that, when you get hit at that speed and that velocity, the kingpin on the trailer brakes and the trailer goes through the cab. And that's it. I know this. I've been around this my whole life. I have seen it happen. I've seen the damage take place. I knew that I was fortunate to be alive. I knew that from the second it took place. So, would you just go to the hospital for fuck's sake, he says to me. That was his exact words. And I said, okay, fine, Paul. His name's Paul. I'll go to the hospital. Like a freaking snap of a finger, out I went. The adrenaline left. I slumped over the wheel. They finally got the ambulance over there, right? And they got to get this guy out of the truck. Too little, about this tall, from Smooth Rock Falls ambulance drivers, and they're looking at me and they're going, and I'm kind of fading in, fading out this time, and I'm in pain. When that adrenaline runs off, anybody who's ever had a serious injury, you know, it gets painful. So these little guys take the backboard and they slide up underneath me, and I'm like, this is gonna fucking hurt, right? I had no idea the extent of my injuries, but they don't take any chances. Out of the truck, down backwards, right, onto the gurney. They're racing because now they already know that I'm really badly hurt. They're racing and they smacked my fucking shoulder right off the side of the trailer, was smashed in. And I said, you guys are taking me to the hospital? And they said, well, we're sorry about that. And I'm like, really? So off to the hospital I go, finally convinced me, left the truck there. I left with not that vest, but a jacket that was as light as minus 40 outside. When they pick you up out of an accident scene, they do not give you any clothes to wear. They don't go to your truck and get your stuff. Away you go. Into Smooth Rock Falls, get the x-rays done. We got to rush you to Timmins, Ontario, which is an hour away by ambulance, and you got a crushed vertebrae in your neck. Now, I would rather have died at that point, because I thought being paralyzed could be the worst thing that ever happened to me, because somebody could piss on me and I couldn't deal with it. And that's a fact. That's what went through my mind, right? You're laughing, but it's the truth. So off I go to Timmins, and it's kind of blurry, because when you've been in an accident like that and you've got that many injuries, what do they give you? A whole bunch of morphine. Yeah. So here I am, I'm glued. I got my cell phone in my hand, and I'm like, you know, Desiree know and everybody else that I'm in the ambulance and I'm at the freaking Timmins, because fucking social media works up there too. She's not out of bed yet. This is early in the morning, right? I send a message to Billy Joe. She puts a message back to me, and I start giggling because she said, I may be losing my dad. You're not going too. And I kind of went, never thought of that. Then I hadn't thought about that because I got into my own little world, right? So, to make a long story short, because I've used up a lot of time on this on purpose, okay? I ended up going to Timmins. They did test me. They had me on so many drugs, it was just unreal. I didn't even know my own freaking name. They didn't treat me very well at all. I've had to deal with that since. They did not do anything except for, they did the MRI. They did not tell me the extent of my injuries. They just said, we're going to take you by ambulance to the hotel and we're flying you back home. So I'm thinking, okay, they're going to fly me back, air ambulance. Oh, fuck no. Oh no. They treat you so well in Ontario, they'll put you on a plane on morphine and they'll escort you onto the plane, right? And they'll escort you off the plane at your next stop. I flew in one day with a broken back, right? All kinds of other problems that, it's a completely different story since then. And they flew me from Timmins to Toronto. They met me and they took me off there by wheelchair. And I had my neck brace in, so they, you know, they were pretty good about the whole thing. And I ran out of morphine. Oh my God. Guess what? They went and got me morphine. So, the plane is not left leaving Pearson International. The medic comes there. I end up paying the bill for it because they had to deliver more medicine to me because they didn't give me enough. They get me on the plane. I take the morphine. Away I go. It's a 4-hour flight from Toronto to Calgary. What kind of shape do you think I was in with that one morphine tablet that they gave me and another one to get home with out of Calgary? I was a mess. So, Calgary, they take me out to this little wee fucking airplane that was, like, it was little. I could, punch a guy in the throat next to me and not even move. It was that small. And I am in a huge amount of pain. And they're trying to get me into the stupid plane because you have to walk up into it, and I couldn't walk. So it was bad, it was painful, and when I get on the plane, I passed out. When I came to, the people in Medicine Hat never showed up. So I was in basically a pain-induced piece of shit area. So me, I got up and I walked off the plane. And my girl at the time was there to pick me up. Didn't come out to the tarmac. She waited for me inside. I had no luggage because by the ambulance, they don't give you anything, right? There's a whole big story about what happened while I was in Timmins. Another date, right? Because this is going to go on too long if I get into that. But I got back home to the hospital myself. Jim Ross is still in the hospital. I have to go to the hospital to get more drugs. So I went and saw him. I'm not going to tell you the actual times because I always screw it up and I get corrected, right? But I went and saw him. He was not coming back. I knew he wasn't coming back. The family knew he wasn't coming back. And I said, my own style, could be so fucking selfish, it's time to go. Right? I left there, got my drugs, went home. 2 hours later, I got the phone call that he passed on. It's believed by the family, which are really good friends of mine, that he waited till I got home. And I have to believe that. It's the only thing that kept me going. Because I was in a world of hurt. Now, did I have PTSD at that time? No, not there. Post-traumatic stress disorder. It's been called lots of other things. It's misunderstood. But it is something that happens after. It's not at the time traumatic stress disorder. It's post. So, I started doing what I do best. I get out, I start exercising, I start going to the gym. I'm thinking, I'm going to my physio all the time. I'm going down to the, I won't mention the name. I haven't blown the place up yet. But I'm going down there, and all of a sudden I realized, I got pretty screwed up for the most part of my whole life. And for me, something wasn't right. I wasn't feeling right. I wasn't thinking right. Nothing felt good. And I was trying to do everything I could do every day like I'd always done it. Well, within 2 short days, I couldn't leave my house. So, I had a psychologist appointment. I went to the psychologist appointment and she said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I don't know. Something not right." And I said, "When I say there's something not right, there's something not right." And she said, "Okay, tell me what's going on." And I lost it. I melted down. I cried for hours. And it's a 1 hour session that took 4.5 hours. Yeah, 1 hour session took 4.5 hours. The person has become a good person for me now. I actually see that psychologist still, right? I'll get to that part where I ended up coming back and going seeing the psychologist and doing the whole thing. Okay, she said, "I know this program. It's in Calgary. It's 3 months long. You're going to have to go away and go to Calgary and take this course. Trauma post-injury is the name of the course, TPI program." So it's sponsored by Workers' Compensation, lovely people. fuck them if they hear me, honestly. They said, okay, you've got to go to Calgary, and you got to drive to Calgary to 16th Avenue. You gotta remember, I hadn't been in a set of wheels at all. I wouldn't, right? The longest friggin' trip I've ever made in my life. It was brutal. I was looking in my rearview mirror the whole friggin' trip. I couldn't let her drive because there's no way. I had to be in control of it somehow. Went there, and for the second diagnosis of PTSD. Now, I'm the kind of guy, my kids will tell you, everybody will tell me, if something needs to get done, it needs to get done now. That's why I'm on the stage, right? Because I'm still that guy. That's never going to change. When I want something done, I want it done now. That doctor come to me, you have acute PTSD. And I was shattered. Because that was for pussies. Right? I really, truly believe that. I said to him, what does that mean to me? He said, you got a long road of recovery to go. And I said, where do I sign up? I'll come now. He said, no, that's not the way it works. 2.5 weeks before I could go back. Now, that might not seem like a long time to some people, but when you can't leave your house and you cry every day, it's forever. Now, the situation I was in, and I have to be really, really mindful of not bringing too much of the whole relationship I was in and everything like that, because it's not going to make a difference. But, honestly, it was hell.